Service available. Call SMS Trading on 315 151 or find SMS Trading on Facebook.
The Mannin Line with Andy Winch.
Faster by, good afternoon. 7 minutes past 12 midday. MHK yesterday reported 20 positive test results for COVID-19. 20 were all LFTs. No PCR tests were positive yesterday. So we now have 211 known active cases of COVID-19 on the Isle of Man, 192 detected via LFT, 19 via PCRs. That's 128 fewer. I beg your pardon, that's 12 fewer than Saturday's total of 223. One person in Nobles, nobody in ICU, and from the vaccination dashboard, we now have 69,305 people have had a first dose, 66,328 have had the second dose, 49,003 have had the booster, 1,615 that third dose administered. It's a grand total of 186,251. And MHK is holding 8,576 shots of vaccine in stock. That's where we are with COVID, and the Infrastructure Minister is with us live today. Tim Crookall, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Faster by, Andy.
Faster by, it's good to have you along. It's now been how long, how many months you've been in the job?
5 months since the election, 4 months in the job as DIY Minister.
Is it what you thought it was going to be?
Very much so, and more, I have to say, yes. The longer I'm there, the more the bigger the job's getting at the moment.
Are you concentrating on day-to-day stuff, or is there an overall plan?
Well, day-to-day stuff and catching up with what was done before, what I inherited, and then also, trying to plan for the future. Obviously, we've got the budget tomorrow, as you've just mentioned, and trying to plan for the next 4 to 4.5 years.
Before the election, the then Treasury Minister, now Chief Minister, Mr. Cannon, was talking about making the Infrastructure Department more fit for purpose, breaking it up, he was talking about. Is that on the agenda?
Yes, very much so, and you'll have seen Chris Thomas is now leading Housing and Communities Board, and that's a start, if you like. As well as doing the day job, we're looking at the rest of the department to see, basically we should be maintaining what the island's infrastructure is, and over the years it's been one of those places where, housing was put in there and other things were put in there maybe the department shouldn't be doing. So it is a case of looking at it and seeing what we should be doing and what other departments maybe should be taking office.
Was it apparent to you when he took the job over that this, because you've had experience of infrastructure before, was it apparent that it was too big, too unwieldy, trying to do too many things?
It very quickly became apparent, even from the outside during those 18 months, looking at it and talking to people, you could see, why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? Why is this not happening? It's probably too big for what the job title says, what it says on the tin, if you like.
Okay, and how long do you think it's going to be before bits start being, apart from housing, of course, start being taken away?
Well, certainly over this year we'll have a look at it, and we should be able to start, if anything is decided needs to move, then hopefully over this year, because if it doesn't fit and doesn't suit the department, it needs to be elsewhere.
Okay, Howard's with us now on Mannin Line. Hi, Howard, you're live with Tim Crookall, MHK.
Hello, Andy. Good afternoon, Minister.
Good afternoon, Howard. How are you?
Very well, thank you. I'm not going to mention the promenade. You can breathe easy.
Thank you. Somebody will.
Something else that it's been building up, and I've heard it mentioned a couple of times on the radio. The white line markings on the roads. Now, they seem to be either not completed or have worn away. Even the yellow box, if you come to the top of Railway Station Hill, that's all gone virtually. And I drive down south quite a lot, and I noticed there the road markings where they put the shell grip, etc. down, the white markings have never been replaced. There's cat's eyes there, but what is the legality on these? Because if you come to the blackboards, there's no markings at all there. There used to be a hatched area on the blackboards. There's no markings at all there now. They've worn away. But it used to be that there was a couple of gangs would go round and they'd be doing this. I've heard all sorts of excuses. The weather's too hot, it's too cold, it's too wet. Now, I'm not saying that's from yourself. But again, I said I wouldn't mention the promenade, but the contractors on the promenade have painted all the lines necessary all through the winter. So how come that the DOI, the road markings, are not being done?
The situation, Howard, was a lot of the road markings were taken up because there was resurfacing to be done. And then once they were taken up, we found out from the contractor that they weren't able to do the job. I think it was towards the end of COVID, because it does go back quite some time. There is quite a lot of white lines that are missing down the middle of the roads. We know that. One or two areas had them put back, but it's purely a case of getting the time to get the people out there to get it done. We are absolutely aware, and I have said that we need to get them done as soon as possible. We've been very, very fortunate with the weather, if I'm like that. I know a few weeks ago there was a weekend of heavy fog, and we had some complaints about one or two areas where there were white lines missing. The Chief Minister was on to me last weekend about areas in his constituency. We know where the white lines are missing, and I have said to the officers we need to get those back down as soon as possible. If the roadworks, if the resurfacing isn't to be done, those lines need to go back down as soon as possible for safety reasons.
Yeah, it seems to be all over, Douglas included. White lines, it's just wear and tear with vehicles, etc., wearing them out. But, having said that, they used to be replaced on a regular basis. And, as I say, from the previous minister, from the previous executives of the DOI, they had every excuse imaginable, no reasons, just excuses. And it makes when you're driving around, it makes the island look shabby.
You're quite right, it does. And what it comes down to is programming. You're right again. A lot of it is wear and tear. Some areas haven't been done for a long, long time. Crossings, there's one behind in Market Street as you come out of the arcade there, shopping arcade. Strand Street there, but there's lots of places where they need to get up to date. But don't forget, of course, we've had 2 years of COVID, and the guys have, the same as everybody else, they've all been isolating and things. So we're well behind with our maintenance, as we've heard in the last few months, whether it be white lines, maintenance on the road, or whether it's just ditching and things like that. So we are well behind with our programme. And you may well have heard in the past few months I've said, I want to concentrate this year on getting back up to speed and getting up to scratch with all that maintenance work. It's causing us a lot of problems, and more to the point, it's causing people a lot of problems.
Do you have the workforce to do it?
We have a workforce, but it's probably a third of what it used to be going back about 10 or 12 years, I think, Andy. It's, I think the figure was about 320 going back 12 years. We're now down to under 100. So we have a problem in getting that work done. And obviously some has gone out to contractors, but over the last 2 years, we've all suffered, as I've said.
Okay. All right.
One of the problems, Andy, could I just ask, one of the problems with it was they haven't got rid of a large percentage of the workforce. They had a local knowledge, and contractors coming in, as good as they are, will not have that local knowledge. They will do a job, and the job will be in and finished. But a local workers will have a knowledge of where certain items are. But one of the questions, now it's puzzled me, maybe Mr. Crookall can answer this. If he remembers the old Wheatsheaf Hotel in Douglas, Ridgeway Street, there's a sign gone up there, nearly 2 months ago now, 20 zone. And there's no other signs. There's no sign saying where it ends. There's no signs on the other side saying it's a 20 zone. Can he explain what the reason that is? There's only one single sign saying 20 zone opposite the Citadel.
I shall have a look at it, Howard. I can't explain it. I would have thought if it's a 20 zone, there would absolutely need to be more than one. So I'm not sure why there's just one there, whether it's been left up from when there's been works there and they brought the speed limit down, but I will look at that. I've just made a note of it. I will have a look at it for you.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
It's a permanent fixed one.
All right.
I shall look at it for you, Howard. Thank you.
Thanks very much indeed. Appreciate that. Here's David with us now, live on Mannin Live with Tim Crookall. Hello, David.
Hi, Andy. Hi, Andy and Tim. Just two questions, Tim, and we'll still be friends after it. Don't worry. What I want to find out from you, and David Ashford promised to do it and failed, is that now he's Treasury Minister, he needs his obligations to be put back in there, is what we were asking for is how many variations have there been to the contract to the promenade, and what was the value of those variations to the contract? I know you don't know that, so I'm happy with that. So I'll slip on to the second one. Is to do with, I used to live in Williston, born and bred, I suppose, on the island, but lived in Williston, and I probably travelled the footpath between Williston Crescent and Johnny Watson's Lane through a little lane that goes through there, public footpath. Now, it's been closed for nearly 6 months because the corporation have occupied some of the lane. So my question is to you, Minister, is why is that done? Why are your officers not getting onto the corporation to tell them you can't extinguish a highway or a public footpath without consultation? Would you not agree?
I'm well aware of the footpath there, David. Good afternoon, by the way. It's I'm well aware of the footpath. There is legal advice being taken, strangely enough, because it's not the situation is not as easy as the corporation thought it was, I'm led to believe. So the officers are talking to themselves and taking legal advice, but it is being sorted. I know it's causing a bit of a problem for people up in that area.
Okay, but don't forget that anybody occupies a highway or a footpath gets charged by the DOI. That's the policy. So I hope the corporation pick up the tab. And I'll see you again. I'll leave you to it. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling today. Here's Beastie with us now, live on Mannin. Hi, Beastie. You're live with Tim Crookall.
Hello, Tim.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Well, I'm bearing up. It's Valentine's Day, and I'm here to bring you a bouquet.
Bless. Thank you. Happy Valentine's Day.
What it is the facility called, it's got various names, Connect Villages in the north. Your buses, aren't you?
I am.
Right. This is fantastic. It is just wonderful. I just want you to understand how valuable it is if you don't realise how much value it has. And for people who don't know, it only operates in the north, and it's a bus service whereby you can, usually on the internet, I'm internet free, but I can do it on the phone. I phone up for a bus and it will take me to somewhere within the area, and I can phone up to be taken back, and it picks me up from my house.
How often do you use it, Beastie?
A couple of times a week at least.
Okay.
Listen, this is my situation, and many people are in my situation. I live in the middle of nowhere, definitely not on a bus route. I mean, I have to walk up a lane to get to the road anyway. And to get a bus, I'd have to walk into the village, which is over a mile away in the pouring rain. So I'm in the middle of nowhere. I've got no family whatsoever. At the moment, I can't drive. The waiting list is 2.5 years, so that's another issue, isn't it? And I don't want to rely. I've got many good friends, and they have been wonderful for me in the last few months, but I can't just rely on friends. I don't want to do that. I want to be independent. So I phone up for a bus. I phoned up this morning. I'm going to catch a bus at the end of my lane at 3 o'clock, and it's going to pick me up from ShopRite in Ramsey at 5 o'clock and bring me home again. And I can't tell you, if that wasn't available, I would be totally and utterly stumped. I don't know what I would do. So I was phoning, first of all, to advertise it for people who don't know it exists. Secondly, to make sure that you understand how valuable it is. Is the future secure?
Good afternoon, Beastie. Yes, and thank you very much for your feedback. Yes, I think for the foreseeable future it is secure. As I've said, this year we will do a complete review of the bus service across the island and find out how well this is working and how we can improve it if that's what it needs. It's good to hear that it's obviously working for you, and I've heard from the members up in that area that it does work well in that area. Obviously, there's some people that don't like it.
What don't they like about it?
I'm more to the people, not so much those that use it, but I'll say the taxi drivers. The taxi drivers find it a bit hard because it does take business from them.
But it isn't. It is not, Tim. I would not be using a taxi. It is not taking taxi drivers' work away. I would not be getting a taxi into Ramsey to do a bit of shopping.
Yeah. So some do though. Some do, and I'm more than happy to listen.
Yeah, if they do that, that's okay. But I would say the majority of people on that bus would not be taking a taxi if the bus wasn't taking them.
No, I'm delighted to hear that, and if it means we're getting more bums on seats on public transport, that's great. I'm really glad to hear that.
The only thing is, I'm not allowed out after 7 or on Sundays.
Okay.
Is that asking too much?
All right. Okay. Thanks, Beast.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks for
Thank you, and keep it up.
Cheers. Thank you. Take care.
I just want to ask you a political question, Tim Crookall. There are few politicians in your position. You got elected in Keys, did 9 years in Keys, went to Ledgco for 5 years, stood down and came back to Keys. What was the thought process? How come you came to those decisions?
I saw it as a bit of a progression going up to Legislative Council in the first place. I thoroughly enjoyed my time up there. My problem in Legislative Council was the government at the time, Mr. Quayle's government. I had 3.5 years of that, and I just wanted to distance myself. I wasn't happy being there.
Can you be a bit more specific?
It would take a while, but there were just decisions being made, Andy, at the time, and I wasn't happy with them. And locally out in the West as well, I wasn't happy with what was going on in the West. So the easiest thing for me was to, rather than stand for Ledgco again and maybe get back in, and then I knew by that time when I left, I knew I was going to stand again for the Keys. So it was easy just to put 18 months aside, as distance between me and this government, last government, if you like, and view it from the outside, and then make my decision for definite. But I'd already made my decision.
That's quite a principled stand to leave a government and then, if you like, chance your arm with the electorate. Or did you realise that you stood a chance in Peel and Glenfaber?
It's always a risk. There's nothing given. You don't know anything for definite except death and taxes, of course. It's no, it was always a risk. But I suppose that I could say I was of an age where I'm getting on a bit, and I'd have found something else for a few years to tide me through to retirement. But I just love this job. I really do, and it just hurt me to see what was going on. So to me, it was, from my point of view, I just wanted to get back into Keys and represent Peel and Glenfaber.
During the election, were you reading the doorstep? Did you realise you got a chance?
I'm always reading the doorstep. I'm always out about talking to people and that. And having been in there, people won't leave you alone, which is fine. But I was just making it my business to talk to people more and more. And to me, it was something I had to do again.
Okay, a message in from Ed, and it just says, look, and this is quite long, so forgive me, and these are Ed's words. Contrary to the opinions of ill-informed senior civil servants within the department who've always had their own vanity project agendas, the horse-drawn tramway is a unique heritage attraction for the Isle of Man and should be cherished, managed and protected as an historic national icon, same status as the Laxey Wheel and TT races. Now, the budget given to the department, the scheme in 2017 was specifically increased to allow the full-length tramway to be reinstated at the direction of Tynwald. The extra money has been used by the department, so says Ed, to cover an overspend on other elements of the scheme with tacit approval from the Treasury. The politicians and senior civil servants should hang their heads. It's tantamount to misconduct in public office. As to the future, if the tramway to be managed and run properly, it would offer an ideal hop-on, hop-off green transit service for visitors and residents up and down the full length of the promenades. Add on a car park and ride service from Summerland and Lord Street site with a mix of horse trams in the main visitor season and battery electric trams year-round. If only the government had better vision for integrating tourism, heritage and infrastructure. The trams.
Thank you, Ed, for your message there. Basically, I don't disagree with you. As Rob Callister reminded me and Keys the other week, I did actually vote against the scheme originally in 2017, purely because I wanted to see a single tram track down the seaward side of the promenade, and if that had been the case, we may well have had it done by now. But that wasn't to be. You're right, I think money has been taken from the scheme to pay for an overspend, and the result of that has been that the tram will finish for the time being at Broadway. There is money in the Pink Book in the budget to finish the trams off to the War Memorial at some stage, subject to a Tynwald vote on that, because the trams were de-scoped. I have no problem at all with finishing the trams off to the sea terminal. As I said, I was always happy to see that. I would like to have seen it all done in one. And as regarding having the electric trams running along those at some stage, it would make sense to have that happen. But yeah, it's a mess, where we are at the moment. But we're coming towards the end of the scheme as it is at the moment, and what's been asked for in the job description, if you like. So the tram tracks will finish where they are now, near Broadway for the time being, and then we'll move it on from there.
What's the department's view of this? I mean, does the department have a policy with the promenade, or does it just take the will of Tynwald? Does the policy is the department's policy that they do as they're told with the tram tracks, or does the department want the tram tracks to run to the sea terminal?
Well, as with all departments, the departments will do as they're told by Tynwald, but the department, as far as I know, and I would like, as I said, I would like to see the tram tracks finished at some stage, but the money's not there at the moment, so I will have to go back to Tynwald, or somebody will have to go back to Tynwald at some stage to get the money to finish it off. And it has to come down to priorities as well. It's there's not a bottomless pit there. There's no money trees around, and we have to make sure that it's done at the right time, at the right price.
OK, Tim Crookall, MHK, your Minister for Infrastructure, is live on Mannin Line through till 1 today. Whatever you want to talk about, get in touch. We've got loads of messages and WhatsApps to get through. You can WhatsApp, by the way, as long as you put Manx Radio 1166177 in your contacts. And we'll be live with Tim Crookall in a moment.
Why is everyone raving about Pizza Napoli? Is it because of the delicious wood-fired oven pizza, served fresh every time? Maybe it's our friendly team in our pizzerias, kitchens and Douglas and Ramsey delivery drivers. Or perhaps it's the brilliant atmosphere in our Douglas restaurant, complete with fully licensed bar that keeps people coming back for birthdays, staff dues and family meals. Maybe we'll never know why Pizza Napoli is loved by people across the island. Why not find out for yourself? Click pizzanapoli.im.
Great plans deserve a rewarding start. So, when you're ready to go for it, discover HSBC's latest range of offers. Make the most of the perks of a personal banking experience. Ask in branch or search HSBC online. HSBC, opening up a world of opportunity.
Visit the HSBC website for full terms and eligibility requirements. HSBC Bank plc Isle of Man branch is regulated by the Isle of Man Financial Services Commission.
A new persistent cough, a temperature, a loss of taste or smell, or things like sneezing, a sore throat, a headache or feeling drowsy are all possible signs of COVID-19. If you have any of these symptoms, take a lateral flow test. Collect a pack for free from participating pharmacies or online at covid19.gov.im. We can all play our part. Be safe, be smart, be kind.
When you need a fitting memorial or headstone for a loved one, contact Manx Memorials in Peel. This long-standing family-run Manx company offer a wide range of granite and marble headstones and memorials, along with an island-wide inscription and renovation service. Manx Memorial's skilled professionals will take the time to help you choose a suitable memorial, and we're proud to say we'll beat other local quotes. Call 843-861 or email matthew@manxmemorials.co.uk.
On tonight's Valentine Agenda special, we hear from the leader of our nation who just 4 months ago gained the trust of Tynwald to become Chief Minister. Promises were made, commitments given, but has the enthusiasm and expectation been dashed on the rocks of political reality? The honeymoon appears to be over for Alf Cannon, but can he still deliver the hopes and needs of his people? Find out on Agenda tonight at 6 p.m. with me, Phil Gaughan. Don't forget your tissues.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
12:30, live with Tim Crookall, MHK. Pat, you're live with the Minister.
Thank you. First to my Minister.
Good afternoon, Pat.
But I'm just wondering about this question of the overspend on the promenade. You've said that as if the overspend is something recent and the horse trams have been blamed for it, but the overspend has been apparent for some time, so why has the department not asked Tynwald for additional budget for the overspend?
Pat, if I've given that impression that the horse trams are the reason for the overspend, I take that back. It's not the reason. Because of the overspend on the prom, the horse trams are suffering, I'll put it that way. The overspend has happened probably because of an increase in costs, whether it be materials or COVID or whatever, but the horse trams certainly haven't caused the overspend at this time.
But why are we not asking for that overspend to be put to Tynwald? So that the horse trams can go ahead now.
Oh, I see. Why aren't we asking for the money for the horse trams now?
I will have to go back to, or as I keep saying, I or somebody else at some stage will have to go back to Tynwald to explain the overspend, and also to ask them if it's Tynwald's will to finish the horse trams, to ask for that money to finish them off.
But surely Tynwald has already expressed that will, and you have de-scoped part of the project and not asked Tynwald's approval to de-scope the project, have you? That
was done prior to my time in the job, but that was done. But to finish it off, I need to go back to Tynwald to get the money to finish it off up to Sea Terminal.
Well, are you saying the project in front of the cultural area was de-scoped before you got the job?
Yes.
Because it wasn't announced until the end of last year.
Yes, when I took over, Pat, it was finishing basically at the bottom of Broadway, just where it is now, if you like. We're just waiting for the points to finish it off, and then to be able to switch from one line to the other. And then
Mrs. Kane, your colleague, has said there seems to be an element of sabotage in the department, and the points issue has been on the go for over 2 years. Is that sabotage, incompetence, or is it just a deliberate attempt to stop the horse trams tracks being pursued?
I certainly don't think it's a deliberate attempt to stop the horse tramps being pursued. But to say it was de-scoped and money was taken out to pay for the overspend on the job, so we're in the middle of trying to sort it out at the moment. But I was speaking to Mrs. Kane just before I came up here this morning.
But it does rather sound as if the department is deliberately trying to stop the horse trams being pursued to the Loch Prom, because they've gone and filled in what should be the track area with tarmac in parts, and then other parts is with rubble, so it's going to cost more to dig up all the work that's been put into that, and then to put it back into horse trams. I mean, that's deliberately increasing the cost, isn't it?
Okay. All right, Pat, I just want to ask you one question, Pat. This is Andy. Do you think the money spent on the horse trams will be worth it in the long run?
It will get money back by making the horse trams more usable again from the sea terminal.
Okay.
The government wants to encourage cruise ships in. They get about 60 a year. The cruise ships will not timetable use of the horse trams in unless the horse trams go to the sea terminal, so you're losing a lot of income that way.
Okay.
The Loch Promenade hotels are the ones who stand to benefit most from having the horse trams going past them, so they get the full length of the promenade. It's absolutely unbelievable that you keep on putting the horse trams back, and it sounds as if you're wanting to try and get rid of them out of the department, so it's not your decision.
Okay, all right, Pat. All right, Pat, we appreciate that. We just need to get on to other subjects, but that's an area that's been aired now. I just want to clear up once and for all, Tim Crookall. Did Tynwald give approval to de-scope the prom?
I'm led to believe they did. I say it was outside of my time, but I'm told they did, Andy, yes.
Okay, so the department didn't just, unilaterally decide to do that. No. Okay, Val, you're live with Tim Crookall.
Good afternoon. Right, a few questions. You're over the marinas now, and I wanted to reassurance that the dredging is going to be continued at various times when it needs to be done. And I noticed there's still no silt trap at the top of the river. That's one thing.
Good afternoon, Val.
This is Peel Marina, yeah.
Peel Marina in particular, I guess we're talking about here. Yes, dredging will be done. As you know, we've just finished it last year, so we need to have a plan ready to make sure that we don't allow it to silt up again. You know as well as I do, I think there's probably 3,000 to 4,000 tonnes a year coming down there, so it's nearly 2 years since the guys finished dredging, so we're back to 6,000 to 8,000 tonnes of silt there, which needs to come out as soon as possible. We also have the problem of getting rid of the silt as well that we've already got, over 50,000 tonnes now. There is a programme being worked up between DEFA and DOI as to the future dredging and the getting rid of the silt. Obviously, at the moment, we've got a huge problem of getting rid of the silt, but we're working on that, and hopefully we'll have an answer to that very shortly.
Yep. Okay. And there's still that was taken out to Portown Road that was promised that it would actually be moved within 5 years, and that never actually happened, did it?
I'm well aware of that, and that promise was given 6.5 years ago now at a meeting which I was at when Minister Gorn promised to the congregation there that that was only temporary and it would be gone. And there is planning permission being sought at the moment to leave it there where it is. I have reservations about that, even if we get planning, because promises were made at the time that it wouldn't stay there. We have nowhere to put it at the moment, having said that, but it's a case of if we were to find somewhere to take it to, or to take it off island at the moment, should we?
Yeah, I was there too, and I was always aware it was never followed through. Mm-hmm. And then there's a few boats that have sunk on the West Quay up near the Stone Bridge, and they've been refloated and sunk and refloated and sunk. One's a sailing boat, one's a motorboat. And all boats that are meant to be in the harbour and on the marina is meant to have insurance. So why is something not done with these boats? Because clearly they're not going to be functioning again, and they're an eyesore. And there's several boats too around the place, which I would say have been abandoned. And again, surely it's up to the owners, a bit like a car. You can't just abandon it. And they should be made to pay for the removal, because it's just an absolute eyesore. You know, some of us on the marina pay a lot of money, and it's just not good. It's also, they have moved some of the boats that are very unkempt, that used to be sitting outside the house of Mannin. And of course, always the coach trips were there, and you can see the visitors going, oh, look at the state of these boats and things, and they have been moved. But I mean, it just looks awful, and I feel that again, the owners should be forced to somebody to power wash them. That could give somebody a job.
Val, there will be people sitting out there listening saying, I put you up to this question. I absolutely haven't. I've had this conversation with officers very, very recently. Any boat that's in the harbour or on harbour property should be registered, and it should be insured for the purposes of, if it sinks like those 2 or 3 that are in Peel Harbour at the moment, having work done on them, the owners should be paying for them. The problem we have, I'm told, is people say they sell them in the pub, or they've moved them on, and they're not now responsible, and the department, vis-a-vis the taxpayer, ends up paying to get rid of them.
But what happens if there's an abandoned vessel that isn't paying any harbour dues? How long does that go on for?
That'll come down to the harbour keepers or whoever deciding they're never going to go to sea again, and they're in a state of disrepair, and then they have to come out. And if the former owner says it's not theirs anymore, they sold it, then unfortunately at the moment, the way the system is. And that's why I've said to them, we need to make sure every vessel that's in or on our property needs to be registered, and we need to know and make sure.
Can you remember the last time a vessel was taken out of Peel Marina by the authorities?
Well, there's one being done at the moment. There's an old boat being done at the moment, which has been broken up, and probably about 18 months ago there was another one that was taken out and broken up as well.
Okay,
and
thank you very much.
It's not cheap
to do. Thanks for calling today.
Thanks, Val.
Okay, thank you.
All right, good to talk to you. I've had lots of flack online, people saying, why aren't you asking Mr Crookall about what's happening in Liverpool? So what's happening in Liverpool, Minister?
Liverpool is progressing, and I have to say quite quickly now. Fortunately, we've been the workers, constructors have been very fortunate with the weather over since they've got back from COVID. Touch wood, I probably shouldn't say that, but yes. So the steel work is coming out of the ground quite quickly now. So they're getting on with the main building. There's an awful lot of groundwork still going on, but it's starting to take shape now. I'm going over in a couple of weeks to have a look and see how they get on.
Who's going to be responsible for the day-to-day operation? Is it the steam packet, the department, or somebody else?
Steam packet.
Steam packet will run the whole thing.
Yeah.
And the situation of the ownership, do we have a lease on that land? Do we own the land?
We have a lease on it for 237 years. I remember the Chief Minister saying we bought a little bit of England, but we hadn't actually. We've leased it for 237 years. So.
Okay, a message in from Christine. Housing issues across all government are now amalgamated. Can Mr Crookall tell us what responsibilities he has still for housing? Will he still have a housing allocation in tomorrow's budget? And is it an overall positive, i.e. the DOI is a net profit, or negative, i.e. are you asking for funds tomorrow?
Housing, we have the DOI housing, which is, as I said, at the moment is slowly moving towards the Housing and Communities Board, which will come under Mr Thomas with a board there. There is obviously still a budget there to do the work on that. We've got 1,264 properties across the island, I think it is, at this moment in time. But local authorities have a lot more than us.
And a message in, just let me get to this one. It says... Can I congratulate, this is Rob who just said, can I congratulate the Minister for making the decision to defer any further cost to the taxpayer for completion of the tram lines to the sea terminal? If this matter were put to a public vote, I think there'd be a resounding no to any more money spent for the completion of the tram tracks. They've been a drain on our resources for many years, and I wonder about the health and well-being of the horses pulling the trams and passengers. So somebody who doesn't want them, what do you think?
I get arguments from both sides, Andy. It's people who say, yeah, we should never have put them back in the first place and things. But obviously, as we heard today from a few people, and some of my colleagues are very supportive of them. It's part of our history. We were having a chat just now. I think what I will do, as I said, we're going to do a full review of the buses this year. What I also will do is a full review, financial review, if you like, of the steam trains, the horse trams and the electric trams, so people know exactly what it's costing us, not only to maintain them, but to staff them as well. Decisions have to be made at some stage in the future. And climate change, as we've also discussed, climate change will have a bit of a knock-on effect for the steam train. So we need to be prepared, and that will come in our transport report later on this year.
Marie says, could you ask Mr Crookall, is he still in talks with the people about the Ramsey Marina project?
There was a discussion, I wasn't involved, but there was a meeting, I think it would be just over a week ago, with Ramsey Marina Limited and the officers from the department, and I think there was some other, I think probably DEFRA were involved as well.
Just a quick message regarding Peel Marina. Hi Tim, I was speaking to one of the owners. His boat was insured, but the insurers won't pay out. He's tried to get it lifted, but he can't get permission, says Mike Brown, that is.
Right, I'm not sure why I wouldn't get permission. Happy to talk to Mike. I know Mike, so happy to talk to Mike about that after all this evening. Give him a ring.
Okay. It would seem that a lot of the DOI budget is spent on vehicles, many of which only seem to be used for single employees going to and from work. Isn't it going to be better, would it be not better spending this money on a workforce to actually get the jobs done, not just have the staff drive around in what seems like a growing vehicle pool? Perception versus reality. Have you got too many vehicles?
It certainly looks that way, but I'm sure it isn't. And I remember asking years ago, you mentioned before I'd been in the department, and we asked that years ago, and there was a check made to make sure that if people were taking vehicles home, it was for good reason. And we will have seen again last night with trees coming down. Those vehicles were probably either at home with people or they had to go in and get them from the local depot. But, then they need to be there for as and when to do the job. And thanks to the guys that were called out again last night for those trees.
A message in. Oh, Charlie's with us. Hi, Charlie. You're live with Tim Crookall, MHK.
Good afternoon, Minister.
Good afternoon, Charlie.
You say there's a problem with the silt because of the contamination of heavy metals in it.
I'm told there's a problem. I'm
right.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is get somewhere to dump it. Well, limestone is a natural filter for water and purifying it.
Mm-hmm.
Down at Fisher's Hill, there's a quarry there which is about 80 foot deep. Anybody thought about it?
Which one?
Fisher's Hill.
Yeah, you go out of Castletown, up over the hill.
Yeah, I know where Fisher's Hill is. I'm just trying to think where the quarry is. I'm not sure where the quarry is, but we're certainly...
Top of the hill, there's a lane going into your right, there's a quarry down behind.
I will ask, and nobody's ever mentioned that one, I don't think, not to me, but I'm sure if it's there and it's available, it'll have been checked as to why we can or can't use it, but I will check out that one, Charlie.
Okay.
Well,
thanks, Charlie.
Take it for granted that.
All right, thanks for calling today. Talking of, well, we're on the subject of Peel and the subject of stuff getting taken away from Peel. What do you reckon on this sewage into Peel Bay?
It's awful. It's an issue that should have been sorted a long time ago, Andy. And there's a lot of history to this, but we need to learn from the history and find a resolve to this as soon as possible. It's not good. It just shouldn't be happening. Same with Baldrine and Laxey. It's got to stop as soon as possible.
But so what's the next point now? Obviously, that the Iris building didn't get planning permission. What's going to happen now?
We're waiting now for Manx Utilities to come forward with their shortlist of preferred sites, which we're told now is March. And then from there, obviously, there'll be discussions, public consultations, and hopefully we'll move that on very, very quickly. And before the end of the year, they'll have planning permission to start on it. I am, and my Kate Lord Brennan, the other member for Glenfaber and Peel, have been telling people that, we're hoping and working with the Manx Utilities, and we're hoping that, fingers crossed, this will be sorted by 2024, the end of 2024. 1:45 on Manx Radio. Mannin Line today is live with Tim Crookall, MHK, the Minister for Infrastructure. Coming up this Thursday, we're talking about Manx Gas. What's going to happen to the rebate and also the future for Manx Gas?
Save over £400 by moving your mobile, unlimited broadband and landline to Shaw. Bundle all your services into one great package right now. Simply sign up to a 24-month contract with Shaw, enjoy all 3 services all on just one monthly bill, and save over £400. Visit shaw.com today to find out how you can set up your very own great value big bundle. And remember, you'll always get more from Shaw.
Need something to brighten up these dark winter months? Treat yourselves to a glitzy night at the Mannin Hotel. Enjoy a glass of Prosecco on arrival, 3-course a la carte dinner, superb entertainment, plus a night's stay and breakfast too, all just £175 per couple. This Saturday, it's an incredible Freddie Mercury tribute show from Billy West. So visit manninhotel.im to book or call 602555 now.
If your business buys professional indemnity or directors and officers liability insurance, you'll be well aware that premiums are rising and cover is being reduced. Aon can talk you through the different exclusions to help you get the best deal. We're one of the largest international insurance specialists and we're here to help. Call 692 400. Aon Isle of Man Limited is registered with the Isle of Man Financial Services Authority as an insurance intermediary in respect of general business.
At Paradise and Gell, you'll always find a stylish selection of furniture for every room. And with exciting new arrivals, now's the perfect time to freshen up your home. And you can have it right now. We've doubled our warehouse space, so even more of our stunning furniture and beds are available for free and immediate delivery than ever before. From living room, dining room and bedroom to home office and more. Come and see for yourself. Paradise and Gell. You'll love our furniture, you'll love our prices.
A new administration brings a new plan and a new Treasury Minister. But how will Budget 22 affect you? Homeowner, motorist, parent, landlord. What's in it for you? Delight, frustration, confusion? Manx Radio's Budget Special tomorrow between 12 and 2, giving you the big picture for you to frame your opinion. With the detail of what it entails on manxradio.com, explaining how the budget process affects you.
The Manx Radio Budget Special is brought to you by Crow Isle of Man Chartered Accountants. Smart decisions, lasting value. The Man in Line with Andy Wint.
And Tim Crookall, MHK, Glenn Faber and Peel, MHK, Minister for Infrastructure, live on Man in Line through till 1. A message in from Liz, who just said, have we got a final cost for the Liverpool landing stage?
£70.2 million, I think it is, Andy.
Is that the final cost?
I hope so. I really hope so. I'll just that's what we're told it is. So I don't want to be coming back to Tynwald. And we don't foresee anything else coming in on top of that now. So
okay, a question in from Neville, who just says, why isn't there a boss at the airport? Have we got an airport director yet after Anne Reynolds departed?
No, we have interviews coming up very, very shortly. They should have been held a week or so ago. They had to be postponed, but those interviews are coming up very shortly, if I'm not mistaken. It's not this week, it's next week.
Okay. Neville goes on to say then, if we don't have one, will the new one actually clean the airport up? Because he says it looks a bit of a mess.
It does look very tired and shabby at the moment, and it's the time of year as well, I know, but he's right. It does need a good cleaning, as do other places, of course, but it's not good at the moment.
Okay, and the other third question from the airport is it still free parking at the airport? Because it seems the department's lost a lot of money in parking charges.
Yes, it is still free parking down there. The barriers went up during COVID when it was used as the hub for people to go down there and get the vaccines and things. And for whatever reason now those barriers are broken. So we're getting prices to fix them. There is an ongoing issue now, of course, because they don't make the machinery. They're quite old, and the machinery and the new machines to pay your pound coin. Obviously, we've still got the round pound coin. You just can't believe it goes on and on and on. So all the machinery now, we're looking at new machinery in there that'll, tap your card and things, and ANPR.
But the new machinery would pay for itself, surely, within time.
Yes, very much so. Yeah.
So, any ideas when that's going to happen?
They're literally out for prices now, I believe, Andy.
I'd like to ask Tim Crookall, says this correspondent, his opinion on the Kroger gas project, and would he support the principle of further investigation, that is, a seismic survey. Climate change organisations have completely dismissed the project but have yet to give credible alternatives in terms of costs. Now, if large deposits of gas are discovered off Mackhold, could we really afford to walk away from it when it would generate the finance required for renewable green energy solutions and infrastructure spending?
I was really happy to give Kroger 4 months extra time to sell their case, if you like. They obviously, just over, or coming up for 3 years ago, got their licence. They weren't able to go ahead, as we know, for the last 2 years with COVID issues and all sorts of things to finish what they wanted to do. So they've now got 4 months to explain to people how they're going to do it, what they're going to do. They don't know what's out there still, so we'd all like to know how much gas is out there and what that value is before we go any further. Unfortunately for them, if I say, they've now come up against climate change. Things have moved on. If they'd have started this 3 years before they actually did, they could well have been well on and pulling gas out of the seabed now, but it is where it is. So I'm happy for them to have. They've got to the end of April to get their story together and explain to everybody, and we'll take it from there.
What part does the department play in this possible gas exploration?
We're responsible for the seabed, so I signed the lease on their extension for 4 months, and then between ourselves and DEFRA, and obviously, we'll listen to Tynwald as well on this one and the people in general. But we've got till the end of April now to hear Kroger's story.
Are you content that there's a mechanism for making sure the Isle of Man benefits financially from this? I.e., is there any possibility the money will just fly off the island?
No. Before anything is signed, and Kroger, Dickon Sargent has already said, why wouldn't they do deals with the Isle of Man government to protect the island and protect the people of the island? If this gas is coming from their seabed, why shouldn't they benefit from it? And absolutely they would do, not only in the taxes and the VAT take, but also the price of the gas that comes out to the people of the island.
Okay, a message in now. Just said, this is John in Douglas, who just said there are problems on the prom with the drains working it now. When will the prom actually be signed off?
If John knows that there's problems with the drains on the promenade, I'd like to know where they are, because they were all jetted and cleaned, I think, at the back end of last week with a view to the job being signed off, so they shouldn't be. So if you can let us know where that problem is. The job is due to be signed off imminently, and I keep saying that, and that's why I've never put a date on when the job will be finished, because we keep finding things and moving things on, but we are very close to having that signed off and then having that 4-week period of snagging to be done.
Okay, just going back to, you mentioned that there was going to be a review of public transport. Have you got anything particular in your sights where public transport's concerned?
No, I don't think we'll have figures about how much they take and how much they cost, but I think we need to know exactly, and the public need to know exactly what that is. It's all very well sort of having the pink book, but people don't, a lot of people don't read it or have never been told, what it costs and what we take on those things. And also the future of public transport, how's that going to look in the...
Okay, just going back to the Ramsey Marina, this message in just says, the Ramsey Marina obviously has a plan to build 200 houses there. It's a marine conservation area. It's used every day for swimming and recreation. What's the DOI's view on the Ramsey Marina? Is it a glorified housing project, or...
Some would see it as that, and some would say it's absolutely, would be a benefit to the Isle of Man. And we've seen early plans from things, but we're still a long, long way. And I said there was a meeting the other week. I'm not aware of I haven't seen the minutes of that meeting yet, so I don't know what happened in that meeting.
You've been in politics for a long time. What's your... I'll come back to the Peel Marina, because when the Peel Marina was put in, lots of people were against it, but it fairly well revolutionised, if you like, Peel, gentrified a lot of Peel along the wharf as well, brought a lot of business into Peel. Has the Peel Marina been a success?
I think it has. If you just look at what it's done for the harbour and the quayside, I think it has. The restaurants, and there's a lot of visitors come in and walk around there.
Well, the coal yard's gone, put it that way.
Yeah, there's been development down there, and there's still space for more development down there. Of course there is. But I think it's been a benefit. We need to sort the silt issues out. Of course we do. But a lot of people do come into Peel to have a look around the marina.
But do you think a marina in Ramsey? Because do you remember one got thrown out 20-odd years ago, the one that was going to happen? It was the Dean and Dybel one. That went. Do you think Ramsey will ever get a marina, bearing in mind the good it did for Peel?
I think the Dean and Dybel one was inside the harbour walls, though, not outside. But there is talk, it would be a success in Ramsey, but also Port St Mary would benefit as well from one. The island would absolutely benefit from another marina somewhere, that's for sure.
OK, Louisa, you're live with Tim Crookall.
Hi, Mr. Crookall. Just a quick question, really, about Douglas Promenade. I might have missed it being announced anywhere, but have you got a date yet to when the actual walkway is going to be retarmacked?
No, to be totally honest with you, we haven't. We need to have discussions with Douglas Corporation. Obviously, it's we need to be seen to be working with them and asking their views as well. But also, it's a case of the sea wall needs to be done as well. And so, do we do the wall and then the walkway up, or the other way around? In which case, There's a chance the walkway will get damaged again. But again, it would be nice to see it done very, very soon, because once the prom is finished, it'll be a shame to have the walkway looking so tatty.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Louisa. Thanks for calling today. Final message in. This is a three-parter from Juan in Crosby, who said, will the horse trams be running for TT? The horse tram to Castlemona Avenue to Broadway, will it be running for TT?
It will be touch and go by the time we get. I hope so. By the time we get the points back in March, and then everything is signed off by the rail regulator, and then they've got 8 to 10 weeks, I think, of training the horses up and the younger horses and things. So it'll be close, but.
Okay, and talking to the walkway on the promenade, is the fun fair going to be here for TT?
Nobody has mentioned the walk. It's the second time I've heard the fun fair mentioned, but nobody's actually asked if it's coming or told me it's coming, or I know not.
Would you have to approve it because is the walkway ready for the fun fair?
I don't think it's ready for it at the moment, to be honest with you. The work's still going on. It'll be ready at the time, but nobody's mentioned it yet, Andy.
Okay. Well, all the best tomorrow for Budget Day, Mr. Crookall. Thanks for being with us today. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you for inviting me.
And if you could possibly make a date for later on in the year to pop back, see how we're going.
Pleasure.
All right. Thanks for being with us today. Tim Crookall, MHK, Department of Infrastructure Minister. On Thursday, by the way, Aidan Baglow from Manx Gas and Joe Cox from International Energy.
WINT.
It's a tough time for businesses. Not sure what to do to turn